Who is this actually good for, who should skip it, and is it worth the price for normal everyday buyers? If you've ever watched a server reboot because a power spike knocked out the whole rack, you know the anxiety that comes with a single point of failure. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon, and I'm going to walk through why the APC Smart-UPS RT 10000 VA might be the answer for some shops and a waste of money for others. First off, let's talk about the kind of environment where a 10 kVA UPS lives. Most people who buy a unit of this size run a small to mid-size data center, a network closet that houses multiple switches, a handful of storage arrays, or a critical on-premise virtualization host. In those scenarios, the UPS is not just a backup battery, it's the bridge that lets you shut down gracefully, keep a few minutes of power for a smooth handoff to a generator, or ride through brief brownouts without dropping a single packet. If you're a home office user with a single desktop and a router, you're probably looking at a 500 VA or 1000 VA unit. The Smart-UPS RT is overkill, heavy on the price tag, and takes up a full 6U of rack space that you'll never fill. That's the first skip it scenario. When the load you need to protect is well under a few kilowatts, you're paying for capacity you'll never use. On the other side of the coin, a small IT firm that runs a few hypervisors and a clustered file server will see real value. The 10000 VA rating means you can comfortably feed a 6 kilowatts load with headroom for future expansion, and the RT series is designed for hot swap battery modules. That means you can replace a battery without powering down the rack, a crucial feature when uptime is a service-level agreement requirement. Real-world feedback from IT admins often points out that the ability to keep the UPS online while swapping batteries saves a whole day of planned downtime. Now, let's get into the practical strengths. One of the biggest wins is the 208-volt input. Most commercial data centers run 3-phase 208V, and the Smart-UPS RT matches that without needing a step-down transformer. That cuts down on wiring complexity and keeps power distribution losses low. The unit also integrates with APC's PowerShoot network management card, giving you remote monitoring, automatic shutdown scripts, and email alerts. In practice, I've seen teams set up a simple SNMP pole that feeds straight into their existing monitoring dashboard, so they know the battery state of health before a power event even occurs. Another strength is the efficiency curve. The RT series uses double conversion technology, which means it conditions the power regardless of how clean the incoming utility is. For facilities with noisy or fluctuating grids, that translates into less risk of equipment damage. The internal fans are variable speed, so during low load periods the UPS runs quietly, a small but appreciated perk if your rack sits in a shared workspace. But there are hidden trade-offs you need to weigh. The first is size. At 6U tall, this UPS will dominate a half-depth rack, and you'll need to plan for adequate airflow. The unit draws a noticeable amount of power even when idle, roughly 35% of its rating, so you're feeding it constantly, which adds to your electricity bill. If you're tight on space or power budget, that could become a deal-breaker. Battery life is another practical concern. The RT series uses sealed lead-acid modules that typically need replacement every 3 to 5 years, depending on usage patterns. While hot swap capability eases the replacement process, you still have to budget for the cost of spare modules. Many reviewers mention that the initial purchase price feels high, but the long-term cost of battery replacements can push the total cost of ownership even higher. If you don't have a maintenance contract or a spare battery on hand, a sudden failure could leave you scrambling for a replacement, negating the whole point of the UPS. Noise isn't a headline spec, but in a small server room the fan can become audible when the unit is under load. I've heard from a few shop owners that the fan ramps up during a prolonged outage, and while it's not a deal-breaker, it's something to consider if you have a quiet room requirement. So, who should buy? If you're managing a rack with a 4 to 6 kilowatts load, need hot swap batteries, run on 208V 3-phase power, and have a maintenance plan for battery replacement, the Smart-UPS RT 10000 VA checks most boxes. It gives you the scalability to add more servers later without having to replace the UPS, and the network management features integrate smoothly with most monitoring stacks. If you're a small business that's just getting started, a lower capacity UPS will likely serve you better and keep your capital expense lower. Who should skip it? Home users, hobbyists, or anyone whose total load stays under 1 kilowatt. Also, if you're operating in a cramped rack with no room for a 6U unit, or if you don't have the budget for periodic battery swaps, you're better off looking at a smaller, perhaps